What spurred me to create this title is this. Finance Academy posted this. Only 0.27% of the global population, and that's around 8 billion, can own one Bitcoin each. Okay? And you could see it, you can't even see it, in fact, because my camera is cutting it off. But here, I'm going to move it up a little bit. So you could see that that's not very many. But you know what, Daniel, thank you, and Tom, this is really deceiving because it's actually a lot less. You know why? Because a lot of people hold a lot of Bitcoins already. There's a ton of Bitcoins lost, and there's a ton of Bitcoins being held by holders. So no, it's actually a lot less than that. Theoretically, if you spread out all the Bitcoin out there, yeah, then you could possibly have 0.27% of global population owning one Bitcoin each. But that's not reality. Some guys, some miners, Satoshi, others, they own a million Bitcoin, 100,000 Bitcoin, 200,000 Bitcoin. They're not going to be selling. At this point, you think they're going to be selling? No. So actually, the global population is much, much smaller than that in terms of who can actually own one Bitcoin. In fact, I will argue only about 2.5 million people on Earth can own one Bitcoin at this time because there's about 2.5 million that is left on the exchanges. After that, that's it. No more, right? So the number is so small. So how can you become a Bitcoin millionaire? Hey, just try to accumulate Bitcoin as much as possible. If you could get one Bitcoin, right? If you could become one of the people, one of the lucky few to accumulate just even one Bitcoin, which for some of you guys, you're like, what are you talking about, George? I have way more than one Bitcoin. I get it. A lot of you guys that are wealthy and you got in early. But for some of you guys, newcomers that's coming into space, I know you're striving for 0.1 Bitcoin, half a Bitcoin, 0.75 Bitcoin. Strive for that one Bitcoin because I do believe in the future, one Bitcoin will be $1 million. Now, when I say future, it does not mean this cycle, but very possibly the next cycle by the next halving event and afterwards, which is 2024, that could be a reality. That could be a reality. It may seem like that's impossible. It's like, George is lying to us. There's no way Bitcoin can be a million each. But just pay attention to what's going on. You have global adoption, and there is only 2.5 million left on the exchanges. Everything else is being locked up, right? And there's just so little to go around. So, how do you become a future Bitcoin millionaire? Easy. Just accumulate one Bitcoin. Set a schedule for yourself. DCA into it. Maybe set a schedule. You buy some every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever it may be. Set a schedule or just buy the dips. Whenever you see good bargains, take advantage, right? But try to accumulate that one Bitcoin, and that's all you need. Now, what happens if you have one Bitcoin already? What do? Well, try for 2 Bitcoins, 3 Bitcoins, 5 Bitcoins, 10, 20, 50, 100 Bitcoins. Keep setting the number higher and try to achieve as much as you can while you still can. I used to always say this, Bitcoin is still cheap. I said it at 3,000, I said it at 5,000, I said it at 10,000, I said it at 20,000. Now I'm saying at 44,000. Bitcoin is still cheap. It will be way more expensive 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, right? So strive for that one. It's still doable at around 44,000, which I know is a lot of money, but for most of you guys, if you put work into it, you hustle, get a side job, you save, you could do it. But imagine when Bitcoin is at 444,000, how much harder it is to accumulate one Bitcoin. Right? Then it becomes nearly impossible for most. Once Bitcoin breaks above 100,000, it really becomes unfathomable for most Americans or most people on this planet to accumulate one Bitcoin at this point. So while it's still below, you still have a chance. So, and that's really it. It's that simple. Now, how do you stack Bitcoins without actually buying it? Well, another way is to buy altcoins, which is why I'm so excited about altcoins, why so many people are in altcoins, right? Altcoins help you accelerate and gain on Bitcoin, right? But you got to pick the right ones. You can't just pick any shit coin. You can't pick meme coins and expect them to make you a millionaire overnight. No, it still takes time and it still takes patience. You still have to invest, but it's another way you can gain on Bitcoin and increase the overall Bitcoin value of your portfolio without actually putting more and more and more money, although there's nothing wrong with doing that. So that is how you become a Bitcoin millionaire.